Good evening, everyone. Mayor Lieberberg here. I want to welcome you all to our information session and our conversation with our Police Chief, Brian Gilfetter. Chief Gilfetter began his career in law enforcement in February of 1994, joining the Hudson County Sheriff's Office, where he served for approximately 4 years. In August of 1998, he became a member of the East Orange Police Department and eventually joined Millburn in July of 2001. In October of 2008, he was promoted to the rank of sergeant. He was then promoted in October of 2012 as lieutenant and rose to the rank of captain in April of 2015. He was appointed police chief in October of 2015. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the mayor was talking, I spent some years in the Hudson County Sheriff's Department working for that department, which was primarily in Jersey City and North Bergen. I also spent some time in East Orange, as the mayor was saying, working in East Orange, some urban areas, and then before coming here to Millburn. So tonight I would like to talk about our department and then go over some of our training that we do throughout our department. So our department consists of 58 officers. Right now, with the assistance of the township, we just hired some more officers. Currently, 3 of them are in the police academy. And we have some on field training at this point. We have 4 major bureaus in our police department. We have our patrol division, our detective bureau, our traffic division, and our administrative division. We also have some specialized units, which would be our internal affairs. We have an honor guard, a fatal accident team, and emergency service unit, just to name a few of them. So all our officers, we're on a smaller end of a police department. So our officers wear many hats. You could be, in our detective bureau, and be in the honor guard, you could be in the patrol division, be on the fatal accident team and the emergency service unit. So we do multiple things with the officers that we have. So you may be asking, how do you become a police officer in Millburn? So our police officers are hired through the New Jersey Civil Service. We go by the New Jersey Civil Service regulations, which gives out a statewide police exam every 3 years. A list is then compiled of eligible candidates. They're ranked by score and veteran status. And our candidates are pulled from the area of Essex, Union, and Morris counties. When the police department needs officers, the township calls for a civil service list, and they give them a list of eligibility candidates. So our department will then conduct an extensive background investigation into these candidates. If they pass our background investigation, they're offered a conditional offer of employment. Part of the condition is that the candidates pass a psychological exam, a medical exam, drug testing, and pass an accredited police academy. So the police academy in New Jersey, on average, consists of a 22-week training program. The academies are overseen by the New Jersey State Police Training Commission. Once an officer graduates from the police training academy, then they will be assigned to our field training program, which consists of a 3-month in-house training program with a field training officer, which would be an experienced police officer in our department, which goes through, that officer also has other training that they need to be a field training officer. So from start to finish, one of our officers goes through approximately 9 months of training before being out on the road by himself. All of our officers train throughout the year. In-person training with our testing, also virtual training with testing. Some of the different types of training that we cover during the year are 2 times annual. We do use of force training with de-escalation, pursuit, firearms. Every year we do domestic violence, bloodborne pathogens, hazardous materials, legal updates, baton training, oleoresin capsicum training, which most people refer to pepper spray training, cell block management, fire extinguisher, basic life support, which includes CPR, AED, active shooter, ethics, handling the mentally ill, discriminatory profiling, which is inclusive of cultural diversity, and the prohibition against discriminatory profiling. Every 2 years, we do right to know, criminal justice information systems, radar operator, and then there's other trainings like first responder, alpha tests, field sobriety, just to name a few. There's also our officers do extra trainings that they put in for, which could be high risk motor vehicle stops, and that stuff. That's the thing that they're interested in performing. So we are also required through the Division of Criminal Justice, which started in 2017, to take 3 credits. They're sort of like CEUs, which like attorneys take, doctors, nurses, etc. In 2017, the course was law enforcement response to individuals with special needs and mental health. 2018, it was cultural diversity with de-escalation and bias reporting. 2019 was police response to sexual assault investigations. And 2020, we just finished up understanding rights of LGBTQ plus individuals. Also, we've also been inquiries about the 8 can't wait questions. So I'll go over some of those. I'll go over the 8 questions. But we're happy to report that our police department has been addressing these issues for many years. So first one is about the ban on chokeholds and strangleholds, and other vascular restraint techniques. And so in New Jersey, they're prohibited by the Attorney General and our own written directive system. The only exception would be deadly force is authorized. The requirement of de-escalation. So de-escalation always isn't practical in every situation, but our officers are trained in de-escalation techniques if practical, required to use them rather than resort to use of force. In some circumstances, officers may have to resort to force, but our policies and training direct them to use the minimum force necessary to overcome resistance when an individual is using or threatening to use force unlawfully and bring the situation under control in the safest manner possible. The third question was required warning before shooting. And most of these questions start out with required by the New Jersey Attorney General and the Millburn Police Directive, because the Attorney General gives out guidelines, which he has many of, that prohibited a lot of these things. So so our directive says if feasible, it doesn't put an innocent person or officers at risk to give a warning before any type of shooting. So we exist all other means before shooting. Again, addressed by the Attorney General and our own directive, in determining whether use of force by each officer shall be guided by a principle that the degree of force employed in any situation be only that which is reasonably necessary. It is the policy of the state of New Jersey and this department that officers will use only that force which is objectively reasonable and necessary when force is required. The duty to intervene, again, by the Attorney General and our directive system, require every officer to intervene through any unlawful use of force. An officer that fails to intervene will likely face criminal charges and administrative discipline. Ban shooting of motor vehicles, firing or weapons to disable moving vehicle is prohibited, again, under the guidelines and our directive system. Number 7 was require the use of the force continuum. Again, in determining whether force, each officer shall be guided by the principle and degree of force employed in any situation should be only that which is reasonably necessary. It is the policy of the state of New Jersey and our department that the officers will only use that force which is objectively reasonable and necessary when force is required. And then the 8th was require comprehensive reporting, and all force is reported. A New Jersey use of force report incident and is directed to the New Jersey General Guidelines and is reported through our prosecutor's office to the Attorney General. So we report to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, who in turn reports to the Attorney General's office. Both of these agencies are an external oversight to our department. Internally, we have our Internal Affairs Division. So our agency accepts any complaints from anyone at any time. We're open 24 hours, 7 days a week. All complaints will be investigated thoroughly in compliance with the New Jersey Attorney General guidelines and the Essex County Prosecutor's Office Professional Standards Bureau. We also use the early warning system in compliance with the guidelines, and our internal affairs utilize the early warning system where we track 15 characteristics to performance indicators such as use of force incidents, citizen complaints, and motor vehicle crashes. Officers that trigger the early warning system are then subject to remedial corrective action and then monitoring and determine whether the behavior has been modified, which could be remedial corrective action, training, counseling, fitness for duty examination, or discipline. So this early warning system triggers and corrective actions are reported on a monthly basis to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office Professional Standards Bureau, which is basically their internal affairs division. Along with these, our supervisors 2 times a year do performance evaluations on the officers that are underneath them that they're supervising, and they do monthly random checks of our mobile video recorders for each officer. Our mobile video recorders are the car cameras that are in the cars. Our department's also accredited through the New Jersey State Chiefs Association. We became accredited in May 9th of 2013, administered by the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. The accreditation program requires agencies to comply with 112 best practices standards in 5 basic areas: administration function, personnel function, operations function, the investigation function, and the arrestee detainee function. The accreditation helps with the results in greater accountability within our agency, reduces the risk of liability exposure, increases community advocacy, strong defense against civil lawsuits, and applies more confidence in the agency's ability to operate efficiently and respond to community needs. We also do some community engagement. Our police department engages those considering new opportunities for community engagement in the township. Some of the programs that we're have been engaged with is our DARE program, which incorporates 5th grade public school and St. Rose students. They receive DARE instruction by one of our certified DARE officers. DARE gives our 5th grade students personal interaction with our police officers and education on the harmful effects of certain substances. Students also learn decision-making skills, coping mechanisms with bullying. Our National Night Out, which this would have been our 3rd year, but unfortunately due to COVID, we had to cancel this year. But National Night Out is the annual community building campaign that promotes police community partnerships, helps neighborhood camaraderie, and makes our neighborhoods safer, more caring places to live. National Night Out enhances the relationship between neighbors and law enforcement while bringing back a true sense of community. Further, it provides a greater opportunity to bring police and neighbors together under positive circumstances. And then we did Coffee with a Cop. We started last year. We'll hopefully do again this year a little bit later once things sort of get back to normal. So in 2019, we participated with Starbucks, where we had officers spent the afternoon with residents and customers having some coffee together. This gave the community a chance to chat with cops with no agenda. It was a great success. We also do a program called Project Lifesaver. Project Lifesaver is a premier search and rescue program for children with disorders such as Down syndrome or autism, and the elderly who are affected by Alzheimer's disease or dementia. To enroll, receive a personalized tracking wristband for the affected person. Millburn police officers equipped with special tracking equipment and trained to help locate the endangered person. So I'll give out an email address if anybody out there is interested in the program. It'll be Viagra. It's going to be Viaerga @millburntownship.org. That's Viagra Viaerga @millburntownship.org. So he's the officer that leads this program, and he can set you up with what you need to know for that. And we also do school events, church events, fire department, open house. These are just named some of the events that we do on a yearly basis. We're also in the process of starting a community service unit. With the hiring of these new officers, we hope to get that unit going soon, with the goal of enhancing police community relations. I just want to read out our mission statement, which we've had for numerous years. So our mission statement states, our mission is to protect the lives, property, and rights of all people, maintain an ethical environment of mutual respect, trust, and dignity, foster a partnership with the community we serve, and improve the quality of life of all within the township.
Just a couple of questions.
Yep.
What types of activities are involved when our police department does de-escalation training? And is this an active or passive training? And who writes the training?
So most of the trainings are guided by the Division of Criminal Justice in New Jersey and the Attorney General's office. So we do both passive and active training. Passive training, of course, is classroom setting with a teacher up there speaking on different de-escalation techniques. But we also do an active training, which is incorporated into our active shooter training. So we've gone to shoot houses. We've gone to, we do training inside schools or businesses, which includes, de-escalation techniques. We also do different techniques with the shoot, don't shoot scenarios. So those are a couple of things that we do regarding de-escalation techniques.
And are those biannually, twice a year?
So those are every year.
Every year. I understand that the community policing unit is being worked on right now. What are the goals? You talked about this a little bit for this unit.
So the first goal was to hire more officers, which we are in the process of doing. So right now we don't have a community policing unit. So when an active group out there, a community group, wanted somebody to either talk about safe neighborhoods or break-ins or some type of topic, we would just either go to our juvenile detective or have a patrolman go or a supervisor go. There wasn't a cohesive group that we could actually go to for these types of things. So we're trying to get that cohesive group to be able to participate with all the different organizations that are within the township. Also to get more active with the downtown and Upper Millburn Avenue businesses, and the Multiques. They're a big part of the township.
Can you tell us a little more about how the police department operates? You kind of alluded to this in the beginning. How many officers and how are they divided on their schedules and their groups?
So we have 58 officers right now. Like I said, some of them are still in the police academy, some of them are still training. They're new officers. But we have, like I said, our biggest division is the patrol division, which most people see out in the street, conducting traffic stops, writing reports for people who need reports written for them. And then we have our detective bureau who does follow-up investigations. And then we have our traffic bureau, which assists with the school system, with the crossing guards, different traffic enforcement, and then our administration bureau, which is part of two captains who oversee each of those divisions, which is patrol and administration, and myself.
How many patrol are out at one time? Can you say? Is that confidential information? That's confidential. Okay, I'll move on.
Over the years, there has been an increase in car thefts and break-ins. How are we addressing this as the Millburn Police Department?
So there has been an increase of car thefts and people getting into cars over the past 2 years. It really trended up last year with people getting their cars broken into. And a lot of it's attributed to no fault of the residents, but people, what happened is the criminals are driving into town, dropping off 3 to 4 people, checking everybody's car, seeing if the cars are just unlocked, That's when they're picking up everybody's computer, so whatever's left in the car, wallet, cell phone. And then they're checking with our new push to start cars, which are becoming more trendy and more popular as we go along. I'm just push to start cars to see if people left the key fob, which pretty much every one of our car thefts is the key fobs left in the car. So we're asking residents, as we have for the past 2 years, please, please, please lock your car. They're not breaking into cars. They're just opening the car doors, and if your car's locked, they're moving on. And if they have trouble getting into our town, they will move on. But this is happening in other towns. This is not just isolated to Millburn, it's happening in Livingston, Summit. It just seems with newer technology, it's easier to leave your car open, leave your key fob in the car, but that also helps the criminals, unfortunately.
Listening residents, you gotta take your valuables and take your keys.
So suggestion, when it starts turning dark like it is about right now, make sure you have your car keys in your house with the key fob and the car's locked, please.
And lights out front as much as possible.
Yes.
How does the police department handle complaints that are submitted by a member of the public or perhaps another police officer?
So all complaints are taken by our police department. You can come in anytime if you have any complaint. And our police officers or supervisor will take your complaint. If it has to do with, our police department itself, it will be then forwarded to our internal affairs division. Our internal affairs division will review it. They will see whether it's an internal issue, which then our internal affairs will take care of, or if it's a criminal issue, they will then pass it on to the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, which will then review it. So they are oversight for that. They handle all criminal investigations independently from our department. And that goes the same for if some issue occurs within the department itself. The supervisor sees a problem, they will contact our internal affairs division. We'll do an investigation to see whether or not it's an internal problem or a criminal problem, and the same thing goes forward. If it's criminal, it'll be handled by the Essex County Prosecutor's Office independently.
What else should we know? Anything else?
I think I covered a lot, but yeah.
The other thing I'd like to mention, if you have additional questions or comments, the email to address the Millburn Police Department is policedept@millburntwp.org. That's once again, that's policedept@millburntwp.org.
Yeah, so a lot of the information that we gave tonight is on the police department's website. We just updated it recently. We have like 3 or 4 tabs on the side that you can click through to see our information. We have some of our policies on there, which you can read more in depth, because a lot of them are pretty lengthy, 16, 17 pages long. So I think we enhanced it pretty well for our residents. Right now, that's the beginning page of our website, and then on the left there is the tab that you can click through. The police blotter, I believe, is on there also, that you can see updated information on our police blotter. And then the email is also on the right-hand side, I believe, there. That you can click if you have any additional questions. So I'd just like to thank everybody for tuning in to our meeting here. And just remember, on Friday is 9/11. Never forget.
Thank you, Chief.
All right,
Thank you for
Mayor.
your thank you for your comments. Thank you for your education. And we will see you around town. Thank you so much.